to make an announcement which is important to Chelsea, and I guess I would say relates to what we're trying to do for society more generally than just play football. Today we're taking the next step in our campaign against anti-Semitism, and what we're doing is we're formally adopting the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, the acronym is IHRA, definition of anti-Semitism. And we're becoming the first football club, I believe, in the world to do so. By way of background, and I think most of you know that 2 years ago, Roman Abramovich instructed all of us at Chelsea to ramp up our efforts to tackle anti-Semitism. And that's to be done both on and off the pitch. And he gave us that instruction because he, like many of us, had seen a number of incidents around the world, in France, in the US, relating to anti-Semitism. And he felt very strongly that with the power of football, we ought to try to be able to do something and should be able to do something. By way of background, over the last 2 years, we have done a lot of things. Mr. Abramovich has contributed towards the Imperial War Museum's new Holocaust galleries. He's contributed to the RAF Museum in Hendon, who is putting together a Hidden Heroes exhibition. We've also provided funding for lots of different organizations, including the Community Security Trust in the UK, the Holocaust Educational Trust in the UK, and then more worldwide organizations like the World Jewish Congress and the Anti-Defamation League. In May, we took our first team to Boston to play against the New England Revolution soccer football team, and we raised $4 million, which went towards contributions to organizations that are fighting anti-Semitism. Interestingly, we have taken fan groups, academy players, and some legends to Auschwitz in Poland. We also part of that was a plane load, a 737 plane load of fans that we took to the March of the Living in Auschwitz. I think it's important to emphasize that our players, all our players, first team, men's team, women's team, academy team, have all been involved in this exercise. All three of those groups have met Holocaust survivors. I personally attended the one that the men's first team did, and it really was very powerful. And finally, I guess this, in terms of the major activities, this week we unveiled at Stamford Bridge, and I believe some of you were there, a mural on the west end of the stadium, which is a remembrance of the Holocaust now that it's we're approaching the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. We believe that adopting the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism is an important statement for our football club. First of all, it makes our job a little bit easier in terms of determining when or when not there has been an anti-Semitic incident. So in that sense, it brings clarity to the whole subject of what is anti-Semitism. Once adopted, which we're going to do here today and sign the declaration today, Chelsea will make sure that our stewards, our supporters, everyone's fully aware of the definition, of its importance, and what to do if they witness anti-Semitism. The definition has been adopted by the UK. It's been adopted by something like 35 countries.
Yes, within the IHRA.
Include USA, Canada. It's also used by the British police. I think what's interesting is that we're just a private institution, a private entity that's adopting the definition for use in our work. We have two guests here today that are much more familiar with the definition, as well as have been fighting anti-Semitism for many years. And let me turn it over to Lord Mann, John Mann.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm the government's advisor on anti-Semitism, and the British government was the first in the world to adopt this definition for the reasons that Bruce outlined, that it gives clarity on what is anti-Semitism, what isn't, so that you can do something about it. But this is hugely significant because Chelsea didn't have to do this. That's significant. It's reaching right to the top of the club. This isn't some kind of PR stunt. You know, I've been watching this from its launch and participating in some of it. This is not a PR stunt. This is real, and it's got practical use. And what it gives is a message out. If you're a 16-year-old kid out there and you're Chelsea, these are Chelsea's values. And the chances of, you know, that young man or woman then saying, well, that's my values as well, are dramatically higher because of the reach that football has. And so it's more than just a statement. It's about value. And if other football clubs, and I'm in discussions with quite a number, do the same thing, then that's equally significant. And I'd call on other clubs and indeed others in the sporting world to do exactly the same thing. I think other major clubs will follow Chelsea's lead, because if you're saying to your employees, look, here's what anti-Semitism is, don't do this, and then you're saying to your fan base across the world, here's our values, don't be a racist, don't be an anti-Semite if you're Chelsea. The power of that is far greater than governments can ever get. And if other clubs take the same stance, the impact on this country will be huge. And I just end by saying, you imagine if you're a young Jewish kid and you've just been abused going down the street, and you see Chelsea Football Club saying, we're not having that. The power of that is huge. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone at Chelsea Football Club. This is perhaps a small thing for Chelsea. For the country, this is a big thing. And if others follow Chelsea's lead across sport, then it's a very, very big thing. So well done, and thank you.
Thanks, John. And now a few words from Dr. Kathrin Meyer, who is the Executive Secretary of the IHRA.
Yes, thank you very much for including us today in this event and in the press conference. I hardly ever have the opportunity to talk to sport journalists, and let me explain why I'm here today. Our alliance is the leading intergovernmental body that unites 34 countries in supporting Holocaust education, remembrance, and research. One of our main goals is fighting anti-Semitism, also by promoting this definition that will be adopted and also signed today. This definition was adopted in 2016 as a tool. It is a tool that is meaningful with regard to awareness raising of anti-Semitism. It enables people to be informed, to identify and to fight anti-Semitism. And the task facing us could not be more urgent. Jews are being attacked in their homes, in synagogues, in the streets, in schools, and also in stadiums, where anti-Semitic chants and slurs and pamphlets are being spread all over the world, actually. There's a German boy who gave an interview a while ago, and he's playing on Maccabi Football Club in Berlin. And he says he feels free and has a free life as a Jew unless he plays football, which he has to do under police protection every time he enters the field. So anti-Semitism kills actually people. And it does not only kill Jewish people, it also kills people that are just be around where an attack takes place and being killed, as it happened in Germany just a few weeks ago. Anti-Semitism threatens our societies. And if not called out and confronted, it threatens the foundation and the integrity of football, the game that means the world to millions of people. And this is where I would join also Lord Mann in his praise, because the step Chelsea is taking by adopting this definition and also with the program Say No to Anti-Semitism is huge. It's a huge step. Football clubs are influential and players are role models for millions. So this influence is something that cannot be underestimated. When they speak, they will be heard and people will listen. Football brings communities together, and is also something that is being Chelsea, for example, is passed on over generations in families and in communities. So it's the same for other clubs. So Football is about passion, pride, and fun, and exclusion and discrimination do not belong into the stadiums. I commend Chelsea for adopting the IHRA definition and the campaign and all their efforts to ban anti-Semitism, not only from Stamford Bridge, but also the communities and all the work they do around. And I really also truly hope that other sport clubs will follow, because this also has to be, it cannot only be a top-down approach by governments, it has to be also a bottom-up approach. We, within the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, stand ready with all our expertise to support these efforts with Chelsea and other clubs, and we wish you the best of luck in your endeavors, and also against Newcastle tomorrow, actually.
Thank you, Kathrin. I'll take a few questions, but before I do, I'd just like to thank Frank Lampard for being here for this announcement. I think the support that Frank shows for all of our anti-discrimination activities and the support that all our players show for that is really very much appreciated. If there is a question or two, we're happy to try to answer it.
Bruce, do you ever think you'll win the battle completely?
To be perfectly honest, I don't think we think that way. We know it's a long battle. We know it's a difficult battle. We're just trying to move the needle a little bit, and we'll continue to keep going and see where it gets to.
I just remember, because I think it was a couple of weeks ago you were saying nobody's doing enough while it still goes on.
Yes.
Quite a strong statement to say that.
But it's true. You're waiting for me to answer a little more. This is a problem that has existed for many eons of time. And the Holocaust is something that we have to make sure never, ever happens again. And it's a never-ending fight. We still have some incidents at Stamford Bridge. We still have some incidents in football. And of course, that's merely reflective of society generally. So all of us have to work at this.
How many people, Bruce, did you take to Auschwitz, and can you give us some?
I think in total we took one plane load of 150, and then we took, I think, about 25 on 2 other occasions. So in round terms, about 200.
Fans?
No.
How many fans would you have taken out?
I would say probably 150 or 160 fans. We took some academy players, we've taken some staff, we've taken some senior executives and some legends.
Can you give us an idea how they reacted?
Yeah, I mean, there's been lots of videos showing the reaction of people like Steve Redgrave, who's a big fan, and Conor Gallagher, who's a player out on loan. And it's been very powerful for all of them.
Would you say, Bruce, that you've had any instances of success with fans you've had to re-educate so far that have been sort of found guilty, as it were, of anti-Semitic abuse?
Yeah, well, with respect to education, we do believe that the biggest part of this whole campaign against anti-Semitism and against discrimination, that awareness and education are the 2 big factors that we can make an impact on. When someone did something in the past that was inappropriate at the stadium, we generally banned them for some length of time, depending on the severity of the incident. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we changed that approach. And it's difficult to look at these kind of incidents as not that bad or really severe, but we took what we viewed were the lesser incidents, and we talked to these people, and we've said, if you would go through a course with our diversity advisor and recognize that what you did was wrong, we would either shorten your suspension or maybe no suspension at all. And I think we've done that 4 or 6 or 7 times, and it seems to be successful, but I guess you don't know until there's a long time passes after the re-education.
Bruce, do you think the government should be doing more to help individual organisations?
I think all of us should be doing more. Companies should be doing more. Football clubs should be doing more. Government should be doing more. It's a big problem. Discrimination generally is a big problem.
But they're the ones that make the laws, aren't they? The government. That would protect people.
I don't want to get into too much detail, but I think generally speaking, I think the laws are in round terms sufficient.
Lord Mann, does it strike you as frankly ridiculous that it takes a football club willingly doing this and then you've got the Labour Party kicking up a bit of a fuss about signing up to the definition.
Makes it much easier for people to go say, "Oh look, Chelsea have done this. Why aren't you doing it?" In fact, I've done that. I've done that with universities in the last month. I've not broken any confidence, but I've said, "Well, there's a major football club in the Premier League who are going to be signing up for this. If they can do it, why aren't you?" And that has got people in universities signing up to this declaration. And it's then for practical use. It's something that their HR people will be using if there are incidents in the universities. It empowers the Jewish students there. So it's the question was asked about government. Listen, this makes my life. I'm independent of government. This makes me. If government's not doing what it should be doing, it's a damn sight easier because of today. Because I can go into a government minister, I could do it privately or publicly and say, "Well, Chelsea have done this. They've done their bit. Why aren't you doing your bit?" It makes it much easier to get progress. And who's the target group? It's not specifically Chelsea fans. It's the general public. Chelsea's a very popular football club. It's got a lot of fans. So there's a big group of people in the general public who associate with Chelsea. That's why this is so powerful. These small steps are incredibly important. And there will be people whose attitudes will have been changed already by what Chelsea's done, because they've had to discuss why. The fans who come along, the fans who went to Auschwitz, the players. It changes people's understanding, and their understanding strengthens their attitude to things. And it's no big deal. Being anti-racist is normal. Chelsea's just been normal. People been normal life. And it isolates those who don't want to be normal, who want to be racist, who want to abuse players or kids in the street or whoever else. So Chelsea being normal and making this stance, this has huge power, and it will. It means don't you worry, if government's not doing what it should be doing, this gives me, if other clubs are listening, I'd like to do the same, even more power. And I shall be visiting a number of clubs in the next few weeks. I think others will sign up as well. No.
Bruce, have you got
We'll just do one last.
Have you got any sort of example or tangible story of why in the last 2 years Mr. Abramovich has gone so strong on this? Because he was obviously here a long time without an anti-Semitism campaign.
But yes, because in 2017, there were a number of anti-Semitic incidents in a number of countries around the world. And when we were talking to him, he pointed it out, we noticed it, and it just came around to let's try to do something big and try to do something about it.
Bruce, can I just ask as well, you said discrimination generally is a big problem. Can you tell us what, if anything, Chelsea are doing for other forms of racism, say Islamophobia?
No, that's a fair question. We, since we formed our foundation 10, 12 years ago, we have had dozens and dozens of projects of all different kinds and all over the globe fighting anti-discrimination generally, Islamophobia, disabled people, black racism. This project here, the Say No to Anti-Semitism campaign, is on top of all that. We continue to do all of those anti-discrimination projects that we've been doing year after year.
Great. Thanks for the questions, guys. We'll go ahead and sign the declaration.